Okay, completing the square notes. On your quiz next week, you're going to have, now I got to retrain my brain. This is college algebra. So you're going to have 2 questions of Kramer's rule. One that's a 2 by 2, so 2 equations, 2 variables, and then one that's a 3 by 3 that's a little longer. Once I'm done with this lesson, we have completed everything we need to do for college algebra. So we're done after today, and then we're just going to practice. You guys have practice that you can work on for the rest of the week. We're going to go over that stuff next week to get ready for your quiz. So completing the square, right? We have done this before. We're just going to complete the square to get the equation of a circle, and then you guys will be good to go. But just to complete the square, when we complete the square, we're going to work where our coefficient of our squared variables is 1. If it's not, you would just divide out. So what you're going to do, the first thing, you should always get in the habit of doing the same thing every time. The first thing you want to do, like it says, number 1, move the constant to the other side. So if I move the constant to the other side, this becomes x squared plus 6x, and then equals, when I move 3 over, it becomes negative 3, right? You guys with me? Yeah. So for completing the square, you see I left a space. I like to put a box here and here, because what you're going to do is to complete the squares, you're finishing this trinomial. You're going to put a number in the box on the left-hand side, and what you do to the left-hand side, you have to do to the right. So if you look at the directions, it says move the constant over, which we did. Find half of b and square it. So here is my b term right here. This is going to tell you everything you need to do. So 6 divided by 2 equals what? 3, right? Positive 3. So on the left-hand side here, I'm going to rewrite x squared plus 6x plus that box as whatever the variable is, x. And then this is a positive 3, so I'm going to say plus 3, and it's always squared. If it was a negative 3, it would be minus 3. And then to complete the square, to finish this problem, you square this number and put it right there. What is 3 squared? 9. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. So if I add 9 on the left, then I add 9 over here. What is negative 3 plus 9? 6, right? And that is completing the square. If I were to, you don't have to do this, but if I were to multiply this out, x plus 3, I get x squared plus, this would be 6x plus 9, which is what we had right there, right? Same thing. So when you complete the square, this is kind of what your answer is going to look like. So what we're going to do with completing the square in circles is you're going to complete the square twice. We're going to do a bunch of these right now. All right, so first thing we do, we're just practicing right now, right? My a term here is 1, so we're good to go. First thing we do is move the constant. Is the constant already moved over? Yes. Okay, so that means we take our b term and we say 8 divided by 2. Well, that's going to tell me everything I need to know. What is 8 divided by 2? 4, right? So in my parenthesis here, x is my letter. It's a positive 4, so plus 4. Remember, this is squared. And then I have to add, I got to complete the square. I have 2 boxes that I have to plug into. What is 4 squared? 16. So if I add 16 here, then I have to add 16 here. What's negative 20 plus 16? What kind of 4? Negative 20 plus, so it's going to be negative 4. And that's it. That's completing the square. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take an equation like this. And you're going to be able to tell me the center and the radius for the circle by completing the square. If you notice here, it says steps for completing the square with a circle equation. You're going to move the constant over, which we already did. Rearrange the x's and the y's so they're together. You're going to complete the square of the x, complete the square of the y. Now, your general or your standard form for a circle is this. We've gone over this before. Where your center is the HK, right? Your center is the number with x. The H is with the x, the Y is with the K. And then R is your radius. So once we put this into standard form, we'll be able to tell the center. So do you guys see how you have an x squared and you have a y squared, right? Yes? So we're going to just get all of your x's together, all of your y's together, and complete the square. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say x squared minus 4x plus a box, because we're going to complete that. And then I have plus y squared minus 14y plus a box equals, what do I do with that positive 17? Perfect. We move it over and I get negative 17. Awesome. Now all we're going to do is complete the square twice, guys. Super easy. We're going to take our b term. Your b term here is negative 4. So what is negative 4 divided by 2? Negative 2. Good. So my x parenthesis is x minus 2 squared, right? And then when I square this, what's negative 2 squared? 4. If I add 4 to one side, then I do what? I add 4 to the other. You're always going to be adding because no matter what, when you square a number, it becomes what? Positive. Good. Very good. So now we're going to come over here. So I'm going to complete the square here. I have negative 14 divided by 2. Gives me what? Negative 7, right? So my y parenthesis is y minus 7 squared, right? And when I square negative 7, I get what? What I do to one side, I add to the other. And then what goes in the middle here? There's a plus sign because it's the equation of a circle. And then what is negative 17 plus 4 plus 49? So equals 36. So there is the equation of your circle in standard form, right? That's one part of your answer. Another part of the answer is what's the center? Guys, tell me what the center of this circle is. It's the opposite. So it's 2, 7. Perfect. And then what's the radius?
Half of 36.
Not half. I know what you're thinking. It's not half. This is r squared equals 36, right?
So it's 6.
Yep, just 6. And it's just positive 6. Why is it just positive 6? Radius is a length, right? Measures distance, so it's just positive. So you'll have a question on your quiz that says, here is an equation. Find the equation of the circle. That's this part. Then identify the center and the radius. All you're doing is just completing the square twice. Pretty straightforward. Nothing super. So now we're just going to practice a bunch, all right? Let's go through this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my x's together and my y's together. So I'm going to write x squared plus 4x plus, I don't know what this number is. Then I'm going to get my y's together. So y squared minus 16y plus a box. And then what happens with 52? It goes to the other side, becomes negative 52. Good. Remember, the sign in front of each term stays with it. So that's why this is a positive 4x. That's a negative 16y. So now, take your b term. 4 divided by 2 is 2, correct? So my x parenthesis is x plus 2 squared. Why is it plus 2? Because it's positive, good. Now, when you square 2, what's 2 squared? 4, which you add to one side, you add to the other. Perfect. It's an equation of a circle, so there's going to be a plus in between these two parentheses. So now I take my negative 16 and I divide by 2, which is what? Negative 8. Good. So my second parenthesis is y minus 8 squared. And then when I square negative 8, what do I get? 64. So I add 64 to both sides. What's negative 52 plus 4 plus 64? All right, equals 16. So here's the equation, guys, of your circle in standard form. So now tell me what the center is. Negative 2, positive 8. Good. And what's your radius? Yep, square root of 16. If it doesn't break down to a perfect square, we need to break it down to a perfect square, so make sure you do that. All right, let's go. 3. See, I told you this was easy, right? Get your x's together. So x squared plus 2x plus my square. And then I have plus y squared plus 18y plus my square. And that negative 1's already moved over for us, so we just keep it there. So take your b term. 2 divided by 2 equals what? 1. So my parenthesis is x plus 1 squared. When I square 1, what do I get? 1. So I add 1 to both sides. Good. So I have plus. Now I take my b term here. So 18 divided by 2 gives me 9. So my parenthesis is y plus 9 squared. And then when I square this, 9 squared is 81. So I'm going to add, whoops, 81 to both sides, not 18. So if I have a negative and a positive 1, that cancels out, right? So I equals 80, whoa, that's ugly, equals 80, whoops, one more time, 81. Here is my equation of my circle in standard form. What's my center? My center is -1, -9, good. And what's my radius? 9, perfect. You guys all right? Yeah. Okay, let's do a couple more. Okay, collect your x's. X squared plus 10x plus my square. And then I have plus y squared. Huh. There's no y term.
You just put like 0y.
Oh, 0y. Okay, you can do that. I like that. Good. And then what do I do with 16? I move it over to the other side. Very good. So let's complete the square. I take my 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my x parenthesis is x plus 5 squared. And then I'm going to square 5. That gives me 25. So if I add 25 to one side, then I add 25 to the other, correct? All right, what happens here? What happens when I take 0 and I get 0? And then I'm going to square it and I get 0. I can just put 0. I can, guys, if you want to, you can say y plus 0 squared equals, what's 16 and 25? 41? What's another way I could write that y plus 0 part? Is that the same thing? Yeah, because remember, your center, you are perfectly fine with writing it like that. That's fine if you want the plus 0. That's totally fine. But you don't have to. If you're not adding or subtracting, anything to x or y, you could just leave it as 0. So your center here, guys, here's my equation. What's your center? It's -5, 0. Perfect. And then what's your radius? The square root of 41. If that broke down, say it was the square root of 40. It's not, but just say it was. What would that break down to? This is 4 times 10, right? So this would be 2 root 10. You are going to have to simplify if your problem simplifies. So just make sure you guys are on top of that. Let's look at the next one. You guys are doing great. I appreciate it. All right, x's together. So x squared minus 14x plus your square plus y squared minus 2y plus your square. What happens with that positive 1? We scoot it over. It becomes -1. Good. So again, we take our b term. -14 divided by 2 equals -7. Okay, good. So my parenthesis here is x minus 7 squared. And then I take -7 and I square it. That's what goes in my squares. What is -7 squared? 49. So if I add 49 to one side, I add 49 to the other. Good. Now I do the same thing over here with my y. So I have a plus there and I have y. What's -2 divided by 2? -1. So it's y minus 1 squared. And then when I square -1, what do I get? 1. So I'm going to add 1 over here. So my -1 and my positive 1 cancel out. I'm left with 49. So there's my equation of my circle. What is my center? +7, +1. And what's my radius? 7. Awesome. Good job. All right, 2 more. 2 more. What do I do? Get your x's together. Good. So I have x squared minus 10x plus the box plus y squared plus 10y plus the box. So I have to do anything with that -48? Nope, it's already moved over for us, so great. So -10 divided by 2 is -5, correct? So my parenthesis, my binomial is x minus 5 squared. The reason it's -5 is because that's a -5. And then when I square -5, I get +25. So what you do to one side, you do to the other. And then my other parenthesis, I'm going to take that 10. 10 divided by 2 gives me +5. So this would be y plus 5 squared. And then when I square that, I get, excuse me, 25. So plus 25 equals, what's -48 plus 50? 2, right? So there's your equation. in standard form. What's the center? 5, -5, perfect. And then what's your radius? Not 2. The square root of 2, right? We don't know what the square root of 2 is. Now, guys, look. They give you a picture here, and they want you to figure out which equation matches. We got to work backwards. What is that point right there? What is O? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5, 2, correct? It's 5, 2. So if I was going to write my equation in my circle, I'd have x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared. Do you guys agree with me? Okay. Equals radius squared. Well, how do I figure out what the radius is? Can I count? How far is it from the middle to a point on the circle? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. What if I go here? 1, 2, 3, 4. How about over here? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is it? 4, right? So 4 what? Squared. All right, does that match anything over there? No. Okay, so I have x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 16. Agreed? What would I have to do to figure this out? I got a FOIL. You're right. You're just working backwards. So x minus 5 times x minus 5 plus y minus 2 times y minus 2 equals 16. So when we FOIL this, x times x gives me x squared, right? X times -5, and then -5 times x is going to give me -10x. And then what's -5 and -5? Positive 25. Good. So now we're going to do the same thing with y's. Y times y is y squared. Y times -2 is -2y. And then -2 times y is -2y. So that's going to give me minus 4y. And then what's -2 times -2? Plus 4. All right. So I'm going to keep my x squared minus 10x. And I'm going to keep my y squared, God bless you, minus 4y. And what am I doing with 25 and 4? I can combine them. What's 25 and 4? 29, right? And then I have to move 29 to the other side. So what is 16 minus 29? -13. Which equation matches what we just figured out?
2.
The second one. Very good. Do you guys see how you just work backwards there?
Yeah.
All you do is if you have to find the equation that matches given a picture, you just FOIL. That's all we did. And then we move the constant to the other side. Does that make sense? All right, you guys now have everything you need to complete your 2 practice assignments and to be ready for your quiz next week. So you guys have the rest of this week.
I don't think we have enough time to study for it.
I think you do. You have the rest of this week. Tomorrow we'll work on some problems, and then I and J, which will be Thursday, Friday, is when I'm going to be reviewing with the seniors. And then we'll go over all of the practice problems in class on Monday, Tuesday.